Well, hey, welcome everybody to another episode of Tech Tip Tuesday. My name is Ken Close, USA Healy World member and engineer, and I am joined by our awesome co-host Jake Barron, head of Americas for operations. Hey, Jake, how you doing?
Hey Ken, good evening, everyone.
Awesome, thanks for being here. And we have Christian in the background in our chat room with the lightning fingers on the awesome answers and support. So everybody say hello to Christian back there. Thanks for
Welcome,
being.
Christian. Thank you.
Yay, we appreciate you. So guys, if you have not been to Tech Tip Tuesday before, well, welcome, and I'm super glad you're here. If you have been, well, you know the story, but let me tell you how it works. This is a chat-based forum where you guys put your questions in regards to Healy, the apps, the functions, the science, the concepts, all that kind of stuff, and we will do our very best to answer those for you guys. What we don't do, or what we can't really do, is we can't treat, diagnose, or advise on any kind of physical conditions or giving certain programs for certain kind of conditions. That's not what we're here for, but there is a ton of resources that could help you out there. So I say, let's get this party started. Jake, how about you?
Let's kick things off.
Okay, well, anybody have some fun questions you want to throw in the chat? We are dying to see them.
That's right. Let's see.
Welcome, everybody. So glad you're here, by the way. Greetings from New Mexico. Laura, thanks for being here. Hey, how's the temperature down there? We got some triple digits here in the Pacific Northwest.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, crazy. Crazy triple digits, everybody.
Well,
But New Mexico is a warm one. Some of you guys down in the southern states. So who is using their Healy for any of this? And by the way, since we are on the subject of hot, um, no different than, say, your pet or your child, we don't leave Healy in a hot car. It does have some temperature maxes and some temperature mins or minimums. It's not good for them to be in temperatures of 100 and I think it's 104 degrees Fahrenheit. It's the max. So hot car, a car in the summertime easily gets above that. So, or in your bag on the beach, any of that kind of stuff. Just be mindful of keeping your Heelys cool. Now, you're on the beach. Of course, they are not waterproof. We want to make sure you guys know that they are not waterproof. Don't go swimming with your Healy, but keep it cool with you.
yeah, I
Okay.
mean you've seen the the videos recently of people baking cookies on their dashboard
Oh,
sitting out in the car. So yeah, if it's getting up to 200 degrees in the car, that's not good for any electronic device.
no, it's really tough on things. This time of year, we really got to pay attention to that. So, all right. And also on that same note of summertime is it's very important also to stay hydrated, by the way, when you're using your Healy. This is a big deal, especially with the microcurrent or any type of frequency infusion or shifting with the body. The hydration, and the reason I stress this a lot is because that fluid in our body is the way our body eliminates, and it does a lot of things to help keep our body cleansed, I guess you might say. So proper hydration is super critical. Improper hydration, let me just give you a little clue. Only 3% dehydration can lead up to 10% loss of muscle strength and up to 8% loss in reflex speed. So that's a lot, right? So when you're feeling tired in the summertime, look into your hydration and see if that helps. All right, guys. So here's a question. We got one here about, can you tell me how to use the coil? Great question. By the way, we've talked about coil and the differences between microcurrent and coil and MagHealy, all kinds of stuff. So what is the coil for? Primarily, it is a modality in which we could take the microcurrent that comes out of the Healy, right, through the leads, and we can convert that microcurrent or electron flow into magnetic energy, a magnetic wave. And more specifically, the coil does generates, I should say, two magnetic waves. So 180 degrees out of phase or opposite of each other. So the coil, I don't have my coil handy right here, but the coil clip slides into the back side underneath the clip, plugs into the two ports that the wires would normally connect to, plugs up into there, and then it takes that electron flow through coils. The reason it's called a coil is because they are actually coils of wire infused into the circuit board of the coil itself.
And I have my coil here. So
Oh, there you go. You can
yeah,
see
if
what
you see here, you got you kind of see that spiral pattern there right in the center here. And of course, as Ken mentioned, you have the two prongs, and then I'm running a program with cables right now, but you can, if you're in the middle of a program, you could actually just pull those cables out. And then as Ken mentioned, on the back here, you slide the coil underneath the clip. So not on this part of the clip and try to force it in, underneath the clip, and then make sure that these two prongs go where the electrode cables, connection cables would go, right in those two ports right there. And then from there, you just line it up and then slide it in all the way, and it should fit nice and snug there. So there's, even amount of space along that top there. And then you can just clip it to something thin. The coil does take up space underneath the clip, so you always want to be careful not to try to force it over like a big sweater or something like that. Just be mindful of where you're using it and clipping it to when that coil is on there.
Yeah, very important that like as Jake said, because sometimes in the wintertime, of course, this time of year you got your thin clothing on, but if you got a big thick seam or thick clothing, yeah, you're stressing that clip a lot. So, and as you saw Jake plug in those two pins, they line up quite well, but you have to kind of give them a little push over to the side to get that guy to go in there, and then it will lock in place. And once if it's all the way on and locked in place, it should not fall off, so you'll be good to go. But as Jake was showing you, you see the coil here. I can kind of see it, get a little reflection on the camera there. You can see a circle back there. That is actually copper wire. One end of the copper wire connected to one pin goes around the circle and then to the other pin. And there's actually two coils laid up on top of each other, but they create two magnetic waves. And those magnetic waves go out into the field. Now, the field is wherever the Healy is. Okay. So if you have it clipped to your shirt, you're in the field. And when I say it's creating two fields, it's a magnetic wave that goes out this side and a magnetic wave that comes out this side. So, right, these two directions. So when you have this on your body, a wave is going through you and a wave is going in front of you. You're in what's called a 0-point field, right? Those two magnetic waves create a 0-point field in the center, and the frequencies are applied in that center space, meaning you're in that center space, and those frequencies are applied kind of within a magnetic shield or a magnetic bubble that you're in, that the coil's creating. So it's sending that information into your body, and a magnetic wave, as it's moving through space, when a wave encounters a metallic, say antenna or anything conductive, a magnetic wave then induces its information in the form of electron flow into that antenna or into that conductive material, and then is decoded by the antenna or the conductive material. Well, guess what's the conductive material when you have the Healy on? You are. You are the antenna. You are the receiver of the magnetic wave, and your body decodes the information, or essentially the frequencies, and then utilizes it within the system's organs, cells, and tissues in the way in which the program that you're running was designed. Does that make sense? So hopefully that helps you out in terms of how the coil works. It's not the same as the wristbands. The wristbands are microcurrent electron flow through the body. The coil converts the electron flow into a magnetic wave. Then that goes into your body and reconnects it back into electron flow in your body. So it's another process so that you don't have to, so you're not wearing the wristbands. It's convenient. It's not the same modality though. Microcurrent is a direct modality, infusing information into the cells, increasing ATP production, increasing amino acid transport, increasing protein synthesis. And there's lots of science to back that up. The coil is just another convenient way. Not a lot of science yet on the effects, but there was a study that was done by Marcus early on when the coil was released and showed the effective rate very, very high based on the audience. Okay. I don't know. Is that study in our science section of the Academy yet,
Yeah,
Jay?
I was actually just going to look because there are a ton of studies now available on the Healy shop, actually.
Oh,
Let me take a quick look here. So actually, yeah, let me share my screen while we're at it. Let's see.
all right.
Okay, so we have here on the Healy shop, there's now a study section. If you go to the top menu, product, science, business, shop, science, go to Healy studies. That takes you to this page here. Actually, let me go to the main part here because this is a multiple section. But this is clear, overall user well-being, and you see there's highlighted Healy Coil study. And if you click on read full study now, it takes you to sort of an index with the different languages. And then the next page, it tells you the different studies. There's a Healy Coil study, coherence, resonance, soul cycle, natural cycle, and so on. And then if you just go to what we just talked about here, there's a study using the Healy coil. Use the Healy, or group C was without the application there. And you see the results with the coil or with the Healy were very similar. So both similar effectiveness versus, of course, using neither, without either application there as well. So definitely the studies showed that there was a big increase in overall quality of life and decrease in concerns when using the coil or the Healy itself.
I love the fact that Marcus likes to do these studies. and
Yeah.
then by the way, folks, he actually conducts these studies in the format in which science accepts the results. So it's a very useful tool when you're talking to people.
Yeah, and then there's another page here as well, and you see that these were, these were notes here. Two bioenergetic devices, a randomized controlled trial, Journal of Psychiatry and Psychiatric Disorders from 2021. So, very cool.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's great. So hopefully that helps you guys out on the coil and effectiveness and use of. Now, again, I highly recommend you use both. In other words, cycle through. If you use the coil, go off the coil for a while, use the electrodes. I use both. I actually have two Healys, multiple Healys that I will use, one with the coil and one with the microcurrent at the same time, using coherent programs that accent each other so that my body gets a pretty hefty dose of what I'm looking for. And there's lots of those programs that are kind of synergistic. Okay, so let's see. Dina's asking, where does one go to get a diagram or pictorial about wearing the wristbands correctly? I don't think we've seen one because the wristbands are kind of
Yeah, we do not have an official diagram or anything like that. If you notice any of the official training videos, like in a Healy Academy, they show the proper placement of the adhesive electrodes, not the wristbands there. But both Ken and I have the wristbands on right now, and you see, if you notice, Ken's showing one there, but I think Ken and I were both right now wearing them with the snap on the bottom, the underside of the wrist there. And generally, you either want it on the underside or the top. The sides are usually a bit harder to get a connection. It's less usually muscle or skin on either side of that too. But
Well, let me go a little bit over the wristband
yeah,
itself, guys, so you can kind of understand what it's all about. So the wristband itself is a medical grade silicon conductive material on the one side, and on the other side is Velcro, what we would call loop and latch, right? So you have the fuzzy part, right, which is like the latch part, and then the loop part is the short part, which is more rough. Okay, so that's what connects together. There's also a buckle on the end of this, and so what you take the wristband, and the silicone material is the conductive portion that touches your skin, right? The snap or the button that the electrode connects to is on the opposite side. So you do not want the button against your skin. All right, so you put the flat black smooth side against the skin. What I do is I will take and I will put the tab through the buckle. So I make a loop, I put my hand through it just like so, and then I position the button on the bottom of my wrist as Jake showed, and understand that the conductive surface of these bands is now on the inside of the loop, right? It's touching my skin, and it's conductive all the way around, and all the way around feeds the conductive function to the button, right? To the button, the snap itself. So if you have the snap on the bottom, or if you have the snap on the top, you know, kind of almost wherever you put the snap, but I like to put the snap on the bottom because it tends to have the wires less in my way, I guess you might say, right? It's not so much
but
in my
it might depend on what you're doing too. Most of the time it's better on the bottom, but maybe there's something you're doing where having them on the top keeps them out of the way more too. So
Sure, absolutely. So you can rotate this guy
yeah,
and have the button on the top or the bottom. On the side, maybe more in the way, but anyway, it's conductive on against your skin. The snap is just, again, a way for the electron flow to electronically be connectable, right? In a simple way of plugging something in, like plugging in a lamp into an outlet. You're plugging in a wire onto your wristband. Now, the other thing I do highly recommend is that you moisten the wrist prior to putting the wristband on. That just helps conductivity so that you get the good connection on your app. And when you're watching the app is going to tell you whether you have good conduction or not when you're running the Healy 2 microcurrent. So that's just a little quickie on how to wear those bands. You know, there's a lot of creativity. If someone has metal implants in the wrists or in the bones, you want to not run the current anywhere near those metal implants. Okay, so in some cases, maybe there's some metal implants in the wrists. You can wear these wristbands lower on the arm, or depending on the diameter of your arm, even above the elbow. You can, as long as they're getting conduction and the current flow is not going through any metal implants. You don't want that. Okay. All right. I've even heard people putting them around their ankles. It's not convenient for walking around, but I have had people do
yeah,
that.
or certain people, if they have really thin wrists, bony wrists, they might put it a little bit further up where there's more skin to contact. So
Yeah, if we look at surface area contact and the sticky pads, they are 1.2 square inches. They're small, right? They're just barely over an inch in diameter, in the square inches, I guess you might say, just a little over an inch. And so there are these little guys here, and the wristbands, because they are long and thin, and when they go around your wrist, they could be easily three square inches of surface area contact, meaning you get better conduction, right? You get better transfer of the electron flow into your body, and so it's more likely to have good flow through your body. So if someone's having trouble in that regard, wristbands may help out, but also wetting them down will be a good one too. Okay. Dory's asking about the natural cycle, says, if you don't want to run the natural cycle in the middle of the night, when do you run it and what program do you run? So we've had this question before, haven't we, Jake?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Um,
And yeah, of course, I was gonna pull up there's a flyer available in Academy and back office that it doesn't address this specific question, but I just wanted to show what the issue might be here. So let me share my screen again. So this you can download. It's just called the Natural Cycle Flyer, and then you'll see the right frequency program. So you can this organ clock here determines which organ is active in the organ clock at the selected time of the day, and select the right frequency program for it. So you see here, okay, maybe from 1 in the morning to 3 in the morning, the liver is active. And maybe you're sleeping during that period of time. Most people are asleep at that period of time. So if the next program to run is the liver, Ken, I've always, I don't know that we have an official, but is to run the program at the next available time that you're awake. Because you want to complete the cycle. You don't want to only run the programs that are available when you're awake to complete the entire natural cycle there. But of course, yeah, it's not convenient if you're setting an alarm to wake up in the middle of the night. You're throwing yourself off your regular cycle there as well. So, Ken, any tips in your experience with this?
Yeah, so if we look at this chart that Jake's got up here, there are times in which the body is in reduction mode and times in which it's in oxidation mode. Other times when it's more acidic and other times it's more alkali. And that's based on a circadian rhythm, wherever you are, because when the sun goes up, the sun goes down, that triggers a lot of activity within your body because the optic nerve sending information to the brain. And so our circadian rhythm and the way that the organs function, they come on and off in certain times of that circadian rhythm, all again based on the light in which the optic nerve is being exposed to. So the opposite side of where an organ comes on, the opposite side of the clock, so 12 hours later, that organ goes kind of dormant. So the entire natural cycle is designed to address the organ, right, that's coming on or at that time. If it's 3 o'clock in the morning or whenever you're sleeping, I have not done this myself, but I've talked to other folks working in this circadian rhythm that have done it on the opposite side of the clock, where that organ is dormant. Well, I don't know if dormant's the right way, but the program itself is designed to optimize the organ. So whether it's dormant or active, optimizing the organ is giving the frequencies for liver or whatever whatever organ is being told to be used at that time. So opposite side of the clock is one other option, or as Jake said, in your earliest convenience. Remember, it's optimizing that organ. So if you're running a liver program at noon, right, that organ is offline, not really offline, but just not doing everything that it was earlier in the morning.
Yeah,
still going to be working and sending frequencies just for the liver. So taking advantage of that oxidation and that reduction mode, that's kind of that opposite sides of the scale. Our body's in one of those two conditions, and the natural cycle is helping to maximize or optimize the body during that cycle. It's kind of, and look at when those come online. It's during those solstice, right? The changing of the season. So again, it's just working on trying to get you back in rhythm. I mean, for some folks that work at night, I mean, it's a big challenge, because we are creatures of the light. I don't know, what running these programs is still based on light. So anyway, hopefully that does a little bit for you on the natural cycle. That chart's a really good one to look at and study. Okay. Ask more questions, Dory, if it didn't help. Here's one. Susan says that her homeopath transferred a device. It looks like Christian's helping you out there. There are ways to get to the support center, the live chat and that kind of thing, from the shop page. You don't even have to be logged in, actually.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I guess she mentioned that the device was transferred to her, but it says she said she can't get an account, and I'm wondering if I need to have Healy registered. So I'm wondering if did she just give you the device and say, okay, here, this is now yours, or because even if you get a device for free, someone transfers it to you, whatever, you have to actually create a Healy customer account or a Healy member account, and it's free to do either, but your homeopath should have some sort of a link that you can use to go register your own account. Again, whether it's a customer member account, it's up to you to decide that, but then you would put in your email address you want to use, that kind of thing. It would create an official account, and then after that's done, she would actually request that specific serial number to be assigned to your Healy account. At that point, you would officially be able to log in. So I guess also curious, if she actually went through those steps, or she did that already and you still can't log in with the account that she gave you. So
yeah, very important to have your own Healy account.
yeah.
You don't have to buy a device or anything like that. It's free, like Jake said, but you need your own account so you can register your device to you. Okay. So Dory's asking about, does the Healy work on pain like a TENS unit does? Well, we're not really comparing Healy to other devices. However, TENS unit is not microcurrent. Microcurrent is a very low current, so not really designed to feel it. Different than a TENS unit. What's a TENS unit do? I mean, it convulses tissue involuntarily, so it's not the same. Not the same. We're not really comparing apples to apples here, so can't really address that. Okay. Let's see. So Dina's asking here, are you supposed to, I love this question here. Are you supposed to feel any current when wearing wristbands if you're wearing it correctly? It's a great question, because the whole purpose, and again, back to microcurrent is a subtle way of sending information in the form of electron flow into your body. Information is how our entire body works. And the variations in information is differentiated by frequency. A skin cell versus a muscle cell, if you boil it all down, it's just a vibrational frequency, right? Matter or material mass in the body is really still just vibrational content vibrating very slowly. And so each piece of you has a different frequency. And this is how Healy's primarily working, is that electron flow that's going through your body is a very small amount of current, undetectable by you. And the reason we want it undetectable is so that it can stay subtle, it can stay subconscious, it can stay in your unawareness, right? Unlike a TENS unit, it's got your awareness, right? It's got some action going on. But Healy is not designed to do that. And I know of many people who say, well, I'm just going to crank it up and feel the sensations, but that's not really the optimal way of using Healy, because Healy was designed to go in subconsciously and speak to the cells, the systems, the organs without their recognition, because the more that you get recognition from a treatment or a application or some experience, the more you place your attention on it, right? The more your mind is analyzing whether this is safe or not safe, right? How many times have you had some sensation in your body, and you first thing you did was analyze it, right? Is this good? Is this bad? Do I like it? Do I not like it? You judge it, you worry about it, you concern about it, all that kind of stuff. Okay. Well, that's getting you into that sympathetic or fight or flight mechanism to see, is this safe or not safe? We don't want that. We want Healy to be under the radar. So what I do and what I recommend, and this is what I've heard Marcus talk about in the past, is you connect the system, you run it up just to where you can start to feel it, and then back it off one. Back it off one. Now, also pay attention to the frequencies, because the lower the frequency, in other words, if it's applying, say, a 400 hertz or less, that may require more current flow to get through your body, and you may feel it more. So make your adjustments somewhere where the system is asking you for more current flow to make sure that it's getting connectivity. On the screen, it's telling you whether you have connectivity or not, and that it's below the sensation level. So you're gonna have to play with it a little bit. I highly recommend just getting to learn what frequencies your body feels and which ones, what amplitude it needs to get through your body. Okay. All right. So there's a question about what apps to use with the coil here, and Christian is answering that there in the chat for you guys. And it's for the recording, I want you guys to know that when you're using the coil is designed to operate with the Healy 2 app, right? So that you have microcurrent flowing out of the leads or out of the ports into the coil. And that creates the magnetic fields. And also the program itself on the screen or next to the icon of the program is going to have, as Christian said here in the comments, it's going to have IMF, or individualized microcurrent frequencies, which are optimized for the coil. If it doesn't say that, it's not optimized for the coil. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Christian, for putting that great info there in the chat.
Yep. And if you see over here off my shoulder, right here in the background of my picture, the Healy 2 app is what this is right here. It's kind of we call it like the pink app, but it says Healy 2. You can find that in your app store. Okay. And by the way, folks, if you want, if there's content that's useful here in the chat, those of you that are live here and you're on your PC or your laptop, you can save the chat here on your PC or your laptop by tapping on those 3 little dots that are in your chat box, and it'll give you that option at the end of our call. Okay. So Dory says, Ken, I think you said to still run the liver whatever time it is. If you can run the program in the time in which it's recommended, we're talking about the natural cycle, then great, that's optimal. If you can't, in other words, you don't want to because you're sleeping, then when you are awake, run it there. Or now, the moment you run one of those programs and you click on, the next phase, it goes away, right? So you could run it 12 hours opposite. So if it says 3 a.m. for the liver comes active, 3 p.m. is when the liver goes inactive, or I should say more dormant, but yet you're still optimizing the liver. Those frequencies or those programs, if it says liver, that's what it's for. So you can still run that on the opposite side of the clock. There's a lot of, I mean, here's the interesting part about Healy. It is so versatile. It is so versatile because the programs are designed for specific frequencies, which equate to specific tissues or cells or emotions, right? That's what they're designed for. So even if you run them in the exact opposite time of, say, the natural cycle, or, even if you're not experiencing the condition in which you were originally going to run the program for, say, I don't know, say your memory, all right, from the learning program, and you're running the memory program and it's not something that you're needing right now. It's not going to hurt you. It's not going to hinder any process. It's just going to still optimize the memory, that section of your brain, whether it's, or the muscle program from the fitness page. Let's say you're running it just before bed, right? Or in the evening, you're not working out, you're not exercising. That's not going to hurt anything. You're just optimizing muscle tissue or cells, meaning you're giving them great energy so that they can do their work, even if you're getting ready for bed. Your body recovers, by the way. The majority of its recovery process is while you're sleeping. Did you know that? You know why? Because when you're sleeping, your conscious mind is out of the way. And the body can naturally do its job. It's like, oh, great, Ken's out of the way. I'm going to get busy repairing and I'm going to do my work, right? That way the mind is not getting in the way of the process that it needs to be doing. Okay. There is within everybody's circadian rhythm, wherever you are, a large component of your recovery cycle, your repair, recovery, and growth cycle happens between midnight and 2 a.m. So here's the key thing, you night owls. If you're up till midnight and then you go to bed, remember it's this between midnight and 2 a.m. when you're in deep sleep. So it takes you a while to get to deep sleep. You need to reverse engineer when to go to bed to take advantage of the optimal repair, recovery, and growth cycle of wherever you are in the world. Again, it's midnight to 2 a.m. ish, no matter where you are in the world. All right.
Yeah. We got a question here about the coil. What percentage is that supposed to be? So great question there. And I'm actually going to show you where you can find this information. So this, if you go, actually, let me share my screen again. Let me go back to home. Okay, share. All right, so here we are back to Healy Academy, and I'm going to go to the download section. So this is downloads, and then I'm going to filter this by type manual. So this is like the product manuals here. And then you see manual Healy app only USA. There's also MagHealy manual here, but I'm going to click download on the manual Healy app USA. And this is going to pull up the Healy app guide. And this is also available within the Healy 2 app itself in the information section there. So you can view this within the app as well. But if you go to the contents and look for Healy Coil, you'll see here Healy Coil page 47. So pretty much all the way at the end, if you go down to Healy Coil here we go, Healy Coil. And it tells you a little bit about quantum potential frequencies and kind of how it works. And then you'll see here to harmonize the bioenergetic field, the Healy Coil is designed to use the IMA programs at 30 to 100% intensity. So pretty big range, and that's kind of up to you what you're comfortable with there. So some people run at 100%, other people a little bit less. And then also, of course, the higher the percentage you're running at, the more it's going to use your battery too. Just something to keep in mind if you're using it while you're out and wanted to run, more programs as well.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Love it. Okay, so here's now also, folks, I want you to realize too, I don't know if people realize how magnetic energy works. It is a sphere. Okay, when Healy is transmitting a magnetic wave, it's kind of going out in almost a spherical shape outwardly. So it's kind of a half of a sphere going out this way, half of a sphere going out the back way. And the range is roughly around 3 feet or a meter, right? So that's a pretty big range, a big bubble. Figure like a big, I don't know if you guys are familiar with those big fitness balls, you can sit on or you work out on. Find one that's like 3 feet diameter and you go, that's a pretty good sized ball, isn't it? So if you are sitting there with your pet on your lap or your child or your grandchild, or your partner, that they're in that field as well, by the way. And when you're running the coil's not really quantum entangled to any person. So whatever program you're running has a purpose. And that purpose, say it's muscle. I keep referring to muscle. Let's say it's muscle. It's going to optimize muscle in anything in its field. Anything in its field. You, your pet, your grandchild, your partner, anybody. So if they're in that sphere, sitting on your lap, or giving you a hug, they're still going to receive that information, right? That frequency, that energy field. So kind of a fun thing to think about. All right. Laura's got a question about pain stimulations. They seem to be of those low frequencies. Yes, they are. In fact, they're only of 1 or 2 frequencies per program. They're designed for a very specific purpose. You will see they will not have an IMF. So they're not really designed for use with the coil. And that's not just the pain stimulation page, but also any of the acute programs. So we have acute and we have systemic. Systemic programs are typically for the whole system, the whole body. Acute are for very specific conditions, maybe a part of your body or a part of your mind or your brain. So those acute ones are also not optimized for the coil because they're designed to go directly into the body. And you'll see on the program, when you first are choosing the program, right, it shows you how to connect. Every one of these programs, the cool thing about it is there's a little picture. Now, of course, it shows little round sticky pads, but logic says that you can replace the sticky pads on the wrist with the wristbands. Logic would say you're not going to be able to do the same thing if they're showing them on your neck, right? Right? So use the logic here. Okay. What else we got, Jake? Let's see. Well, there's one. Let's see. Roseanne says, just joined. I would love to have a better understanding of what the analysis/scan actually pick up on. So i.e., can they be run daily to pick up like the nuisance of the day? Let's see. If I had a cold, should I be able to run a scan and go with those frequencies as opposed to me trying to figure out what programs run? So let's talk a little bit about this analysis engine, right? The way that Healy operates through the Healy Advisor Analyze app. Healy inside has a random generator, and there's science and there's documents that you guys can look up and read about. Random generators are influenced by consciousness. All right. So when we put a person into the Healy Advisor Analyze app as a client, like you are a client, your pet is a client, anyone you put in there is a client. And the client is essentially on one side of the analysis engine, one side of the equation. And then on the other side of the equation is a database of some sort. You choose the database. And then the random generator does kind of build a bridge between the optimal sense of you and the database you chose to achieve that. Okay, so think about that for a second. Whatever database you've chosen is the resource in order to optimize you or the client. And the random generator builds a bridge of what's the most effective frequencies within that database to align you. So when you're talking about, say, a cold or some body issue, first of all, Healy's not looking at the cold. It's all information. You, as a client, are just information. The database and everything in that whole database could be hundreds and hundreds of frequencies, thousands even. That whole database is just information. And if you, as a client, are not feeling well, whatever the reason that is, it's going to pick from the database you chose optimal frequencies to fix you, not really fix you, sorry, wrong word, optimize you. And so that optimization, if you're having some kind of symptoms, what aligns those symptoms or negates those symptoms may be something you're not even thinking of, right? The database is giving you frequencies to overcome the condition prior to the condition. So I don't recommend trying to use the analysis engine for, say, like you mentioned, a cold. There is the Heal Advisor search module that you can use for things like that. And then it'll give you frequencies or programs, I should say. But if you're trying to figure out what you need in general in the present moment, because you're just having a bad day, right? Or things are just getting you down, then yeah, that Heal Advisor Analyze does help. I don't recommend trying to analyze every 5 minutes. You know, I mean, we've talked about this before, right, Jake? Because it's like some people are going, I want to analyze and do this, but we got to give the body time, right, to use those frequencies and do some work, right? So does that make sense?
Yeah, and you know, to add on to that, you know, you can always use the search module in the Heal Advisor app. So not Heal Advisor Analyze app, just the Heal Advisor app, which, you know, all Healys now have access to, regardless of which edition you get. And you can go to the search module, type in any topic that you're needing support with right now, and it'll give you for pretty much everything a list of programs that contain frequencies that would be able to help and support you for, you know, whatever you're going through or wanting assistance with at that time. So
yeah. So and then some add-on here. Maria is saying that a person told her that to be concentrated and the patient be concentrating on Healy. And this is true when we're doing an analysis. Now, as Jake mentioned, the Heal Advisor's search module, it doesn't care who you are. It just is looking at the keyword you put in the search box, right? And whatever keyword you put in there, it's going to go to the database and it's going to pull out programs designed to optimize that keyword or to work with that keyword. Okay. So it doesn't matter who you are. There's no client association, nothing. So that's a separate thing. The Heal Advisor Analyze module, now that's going to analyze a client, right? And there's content put in about the client. So their name, their gender, where they were born, when they were born, and then taking a analysis or a scan of the person and putting that frequency into that little client record. Now, at that point, when you're doing that and that scan, it's very important to be present, right? Healy is you're placing the Healy in your hand. If this is done locally, you're putting the Healy in your hand, you're doing the analysis. Healy is collecting field frequency information around the client and then placing that into the client record. All right, so that's a portion of the content that differentiates that client from anything else in the universe. Now, when you're doing a scan, it's also important that you, as the client, remain present. And then if there's other people around you and they're noisy and obnoxious and disruptive, that's not going to help you. So it's a good idea that you're in a calm space. If you're working with someone and they are your practitioner. They're placing their attention on you. You're placing your attention on you. Healy's got its attention on you because it's got the client record. You're getting the optimum results. Okay. So it is important. Quantum entanglement means that it is entangled between the client and the database, and Healy builds a bridge. I'm not saying that there is not influential energies that can influence the results, because they can. I'm just talking about how you optimize. The random generator is subjected to consciousness, and in the proximity of that analysis, if there's other consciousness feeding into the information field, yes, it could pick that up. So it's better to be focused.
And Ken, that's, I mean, this is an interesting question. The last part that Maria put in here, you know, about, you know, we're talking about the focus and everything like that. And she says she sees us running programs while we're doing something else. So you could say that we're multitasking right now. We're running frequency programs, but we're not running the Analyze app. We're actually just doing microcurrent and frequencies there as well. And, you know, when you're, as Ken was talking about earlier, you know, as far as do you need to feel the current when you have the wristbands on? And of course, the answer was no, you don't need to feel it. You want to increase it to a level you might feel a little bit and then back it off some. So these are on running microcurrent. I'm receiving the benefits of the microcurrent, but I don't feel anything at all, which is great. You know, I have the proper conductivity, the frequency wave is flowing. I'm not getting any sort of error messages, and it's just happening in the background. My body is just not even really aware of what's happening, which is the ideal state.
Yeah, and we're talking about two different modalities here,
Yeah.
right? With like Jake and I are multitasking, we're doing these things. As I mentioned earlier, and try to remember this, the pink app, right? This Healy 2 app right here has no client association. It doesn't care who you are. All it cares about is who's connected to the wires and the Healy. That's it. Whoever's connected to the Healy is getting the benefits of that program you're running. That's it. On the other side of the token, the Heal Advisor Analyze app, this blue one here that's off my shoulder, the blue one here, the Heal Advisor Analyze 2, to be more specific, that is analyzing the database you've chosen and the client record that's chosen, and bridging through the quantum analysis, okay, through the quantum entanglement, through the random generator. It's different. Two different ways that Healy is working. They're very different ways, by the way, not just a little bit, but very different ways. As I mentioned earlier, and you guys go back and review the recording, but as I mentioned earlier, when you're running the pink app or the Healy 2 app, and you got somebody sitting on your lap, and you're running the coil is taking that information that is not just for that any specific person. It's sending magnetic waves out in the field, and whoever's in that range is going to receive it. It's just not the same as the blue app, which is client oriented. So one is not client oriented, one is. I know it's a
I mean, a lot of people do, when they're running microcurrent, do like to just sit down and relax for the entire session as well, which if you have the time or are able to do that, that's great as well. So
yeah. Okay, so I think we answered the question about intensity. Where else are we?
so there was a question actually about, again, earlier on, about the electrode placement, as far as, you know, there's a video there that says you have to avoid the certain, you know, arteries and placement, you know, crossing the heart and that kind of thing as well. But there was a question about using them on the neck. You know, do you need to avoid the entire neck area? But you'll see in some of when running some of the programs, some of the pain programs, the mental balance programs, they show the adhesive electrodes at the very the bottom of the mastoid bone on the back of the neck there. So there are certain areas where you can use them. You just have to be very careful about the placement there. That's why it's good to watch that one video that we do have in Academy that kind of details that.
Yeah, the mastoid bone is a placement, and then the brachial plexus, which is right around the lower cervical, upper thoracic spine, where that's implemented along that nerve bundle. So that's another spot in which you'll see some of the programs are asking you to place the electrodes. We can't really talk about certain conditions. There was a condition that was asked about.
Yeah.
Put the words, whatever condition you're trying to address, put them into the Heal Advisor search module. So that's the one that's here off to my other shoulder. The wavy lines right here. See this app? This is a picture of it right here in the background. It's the waves. It's called the Heal Advisor search. You load that on your device. You can log in and then put a keyword in there, and it will show you what programs for that.
Yeah, and then there was, I think, the related question further on this kind of topic, how often can you run a program on yourself for optimal effectiveness? And if you do use Heal Advisor search, you'll see if you have like one specific topic and you pick a group of programs, it'll recommend a whole group of programs related to that topic. And you'll notice it's not recommending the same program over and over again. So it might be one program group for a specific topic, and that program group might contain 10 different programs. And if you click the little button, create IMF schedule, it'll actually put into a schedule up to 3 times per day. It'll put the programs in a schedule. So on Monday, it's going to run this program, then this program, then this program. On Tuesday, it's going to run this. And it can send you reminders throughout the day. Okay, it's time to run your afternoon program or whatever you want to set it to be. But yeah, when you're doing the microcurrent, 3 per day, especially to start, you don't want to overdo it. And then also to make sure you take at least 1 day off per week as well with no microcurrent as well.
Yeah, give your body a break, give it some time. When you're running the microcurrent, some of the self-care protocols I mentioned earlier is hydration, right? Another self-care protocol is that every time you run a microcurrent program, I highly recommend you do a couple of minutes of grounding, right? Get your body back to reference. Spread your microcurrent programs out over a minimum of an hour apart, right? Give yourself some time, your body some time. So hydrate, ground, movement, getting the body to operate to engage the lymphatic system. And then again, the microcurrent programs have a daily max number of programs, 2 to 3 per day. What I recommend too is just listen to your body, pay attention to your body. If you're feeling like we call it detox symptoms, muscle soreness, achy joints, headaches, maybe some brain fog, those could be detox symptoms, and that's the Healy doing its work, right? But so that means you got to give your body some grace, some of that, what I just mentioned, some hydration, some grounding, and some time between those microcurrent programs. So be sure to take care of yourselves, okay? Listen to your body.
Yep. 3 per day doesn't mean one at 10 a.m., one at 11 a.m., and one at 12 p.m. You space them out, like Ken said, and do the self-care protocol in between. So
grounding, stretching, moving, and hydration. All right. Lightning round. Last question here. Let's see. Be more specific. How frequently do you safely use the device? Well, we just talked about that. Okay. Let's see. And there's a question here. I don't know where to put the word for the search. Do you have to enter the patient? Okay. So that's if you're looking at, remember I showed you a picture of the app here off my shoulder? Okay. This app right here with the wavy lines is not the same as the one on my other shoulder, which is blue. You see the pictures? They have similar names. The blue app is the Heal Advisor Analyze 2, right? Healy Advisor, Analyze 2. The other one is a Healy Advisor Search. Two different things. You need to have both those apps. Load that app, and then you can get in there and do some of the looking around.
Yeah, I put a link to the video from Academy. There's a video on how to use Healy Advisor Search in Healy Academy, but I copied the direct link straight to the Vimeo video there as well. So
there you go. All right, last question. Deanna says grounding, question mark, how? I love this. It's actually a very simple process.
yeah.
Grounding means that you put some kind of your bare skin on bare earth. Okay. Bare skin on bare earth. Now, you can stand barefoot on the grass, walk along the sandy beach. You can lay down with your bare arms, just bare skin connected to bare earth, and just spend 5-10 minutes doing that. It's super easy. You can lay there, take a nap, not when it's 105 degrees out, and be mindful of that. But that's it. That's it. Grounding is super good. Now there's just take a look online, search for grounding, earth grounding or body grounding. You're going to find a plethora of information about how to do it. It's very simple. It works very well. You're just becoming, again, neutral with the earth. All right, guys. Hey, that was an awesome hour. Went by really fast. Thanks, Jake.
Yeah. Thanks, Ken. Thanks, Christian.
Thanks, Christian. Remember to save the app or the chat. Click the 3 little dots, and boom, at the end of our call, you'll have a spot to save it if you're on your PC or your laptop. All right, guys. And by the way, Jake and his crew will have this recording for you on the YouTube page in a short period of time.
Jake, yeah, HealyAmericas.com. Typically, we have this up there by the end of the next day. So it should be up there by the end of Wednesday as well. So you'll be able to review everything that we talked about.
Well, hey, if it was helpful, folks, invite your friends next time. Come back, see us again next week. We love you guys. Thanks for being here. See you next time.
Thank you.